Alright, hello citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nigel here once again, and this is going to be another wrestling review. Not too long ago, I got a request from my friend Steve, aka Plaxv. Go follow him. I'm actually going to put his channel and stuff in the description, but I got a request from him to look at JBL's WWE Championship reign in its entirety, and for that, I think I'm going to mainly focus on his championship title defenses, and we're going to evaluate whether he truly was a great WWE champion, or whether he was only truly champion because Triple H didn't want to work Tuesdays. So we're going to be looking at that. We at least looked at the beginning of it when we reviewed his match against Eddie Guerrero at Great American Bash 2004, but that wasn't his first encounter with Eddie for the WWE Championship. In fact, that match essentially was a rematch from this match. So before we can really look at the championship reign in its entirety to evaluate it, we have to jump back a little bit in the timeline to not only what constituted the match afterwards, but almost was perhaps a sign of things to come of JBL potentially becoming WWE champion. What happens is when JBL tries to take the WWE Championship from Eddie Guerrero. Let's find out. I'm, of course, talking about how their match at Judgment Day 2004, or as JBL who battles Eddie Guerrero for the WWE Championship. And this match didn't have stipulations, but that didn't stop them from some of the stuff that happened in the match. As always, I'm not professional wrestling reviewer analyst, just a man who enjoys a good time, and I had a really good time with this match. Second pay-per-view in a row, if you can believe it, where JBL and Eddie was like the best match on that card. Because just like Great American Bash 2004, this also considered a very underwhelming card. Certainly some stars on this card, but nothing really to write home about, except for this match. And thankfully, unlike Great American Bash, this match actually was in the main event. So they have this great match in the main event of this one, and then Great American Bash, they're not in the main event. WWE, what can you do? But nevertheless, let's get right into it, I guess. So, if you've seen these reviews of mine before, you kind of already know how this works. If you haven't, I'm going to be talking about what I liked and disliked about the match. So, starting with what I liked, there is a lot of physicality in this one because the feud up to this point has been phenomenal, has been very palpable. So, pretty much the feud, it unfortunately does have some kind of racist undertones. But JBL essentially pretty much waging war on illegal immigrants, and it's because, as from what I'm saying, that was definitely a hot button issue at the time. It still kind of is to this day, if you can believe it, but especially at that time, and it segued into this feud with Eddie Guerrero, including him and causing Eddie's mother to have a legitimate heart attack. So Eddie is out for revenge, and he is out for blood, and he will definitely get it. But yeah, so the feud going into this, and then from the bell, they just get right into it. Very little wasted motion, going right after each other. Or a lot of slugs, almost in slugfest territory. Not always the prettiest match between these two, but considering this is pretty much like a blood feud, and again, that's very telling. And if you've seen this match before, you probably know why. But for blood feud, their actions throughout, pretty much going pedal to the metal, pretty much wailing on each other, I think it's very fitting and very appropriate. Sadly, we've seen a lot of feuds, not just in WWE, but in several other promotions, where the intensity of the feud leading into it isn't as intense as the match itself. And really, a feud of this magnitude, I'm not saying have a match of the year candidate, it necessarily, but like if the feud has a lot of intensity behind it, has a lot of great storytelling, the payoff of the match should be just as great. And sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't though. But this one definitely was them just definitely going after each other, or are just really beating the crap out of each other, or beating each other essentially from pillar to post. But Eddie Guerrero takes out the referee, and it's kind of a funny ref bump because Eddie goes to like run to the ropes for to rebound off the ropes to pull off some move, and the ref's just standing there, and he gets taken out. But when the ref is taken out, that's where the real fun begins, because as Eddie and JBL then fight to the outside, including Eddie sending JBL over the announce table. And it was funny, like, he waved off to Michael Cole and Taz, like, oh, I'm not gonna send him over there, just kidding, yes I am. And he just launches JBL over. But JBL, while he was over there and Eddie Guerrero goes to him, JBL whomps him over the head with a chair. And from there, Eddie Guerrero is bleeding buckets. Like, hey, it is absolutely gross. Was how much he's bleeding. Like, you can hear the gasps from the crowd as the blood's just pouring from Eddie Guerrero's forehead. Like, John Moxley, he wishes he could have this amount of blood in his matches because, it was definitely gross. So apparently, he, if the wiki's to be believed here, Eddie, he did blade because that's when blading was the thing. Of course, it got outlawed mainly in the PG era, and I think this match is definitely an indicator and pretty much a pretty good argument as for why blading is probably a no-no. But apparently, as he was blading, he accidentally cut an artery. He cut an artery in his forehead, and it just caused him to just drip blood. Like, the blood is dripping everywhere. It's going all over his body and face. It's like dripping all over the place, and it's just dripping down. It even gets on JBL. Honestly, like I said, this probably is a good argument as to blading not really, as to why blading isn't really as prevalent as it is, and why it's mostly been outlawed, at least in WWE and now AEW, even though some people do tend to get away with it, looking at UCM Punk. But yeah, this was, it was just a gross look. Again, the blood spilled all over the mat. It does add that extra bit of intensity to the mat, as that Eddie's literally bleeding all over the place. But yeah, it is gross. Like, it's a great visual. Well, from like a visual standpoint, it's intense. Like, whoa, look at all that blood. He's really bleeding. It adds, like I said, it adds that fire to the feud and to the match. But but they still will finish up the match. And actually, the match does end in disqualification. So JBL brings in a chair and the WWE Championship. He holds the WWE Championship behind his back, brings in the chair, throws the chair in. The chair's supposed to be more of a diversion. JBL goes to nail Eddie with the title belt. But if there's anyone who knows how to cheat, it's Eddie. So Eddie low blows him, then just whomps JBL with the championship, and then the match concludes. And not only the match itself was really great, but then the post-match stuff as well, with Eddie just repeatedly beating the crap out of JBL, adding even more fuel to that fire, the story that they're telling, including Eddie nailing JBL repeatedly with the WWE Championship. And so now how JBL is bleeding, which you probably couldn't tell with the blood already on him from Eddie, but... And JBL is bleeding, and Eddie just keeps beating down JBL. The refs keep trying to pry him off, so really getting it over. Now, that's how you do a DQ finish and still have it be satisfying. Like still having them go after each other, a lot of the post-match stuff. That's how you get away with a DQ finish. Normally, it feels kind of flat when the match ends in a DQ, but this time around, it felt like it definitely did pay off, and it did further the story going into it. And the feud, like I said, far from over. They would face at Great American Bash. But yeah, so Eddie does stand tall. And the story told throughout the match was great. Eddie fighting valiantly, especially when he's dripping blood. JBL looking like an absolute madman, including delivering 2 clotheslines from hell onto Eddie, but not quite able to put him away. It's partially because referee being taken out, although it's implied highlighted storyline that JBL probably would have had the match won if the ref was up. And there's actually 2 ref bumps. The first ref is taken out, and then Charles Robinson does come in, but then he's taken out as well. Also, the first ref does come back into the fray. So JBL delivers the clotheslines, but it is chalked up to Eddie kicking out of the clotheslines, I should say, is chalked up to taking too much time because the ref is still out. So they're able to protect it in that regard. And so, yeah, pretty much able to get away with that as well, man. And you see what you can get away with when you have a great match. If I did have to find something to dislike about the match, probably he probably like the fact that the DQ, I know it does sour some people. People don't like DQ finishes. It does further the story, but I know some people are kind of soured by DQ finishes. Here it worked, but it does kind of suck that the match didn't end mostly conclusively. But it does further the story, so they're able to get away with it. And the blood is a blessing and a curse. Like it is a great visual, but it's also a gross visual as well. Is the blood and how it's just pouring all over the place. But nevertheless, fantastic match. We're gonna evaluate the rest of JBL's championship run. If you haven't already, go check out my review of Great American Bash 2004, or at least the JBL Eddie match from Great American Bash 2004, or to get caught up. And so yeah, I'm probably not gonna do these serialized like other type of reviews and stuff, only because there is quite a few matches that I'm able to do. You notice I do a lot of match reviews on the channel, mostly because they're at least compared to the movies and video games, aims on the shorter side, so I'm able to watch those. And I do have others that I do want to do, but I'll sneak them in wherever I can. In fact, I'll see if I can sneak in even one more before the month/year is over. But otherwise, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor: like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video, so you can see as soon as it drops. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on the match and my review. Did you like to select the match? Did you like to select my review of the match? Let me know. But thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys later. Peace.